What's up, sports fans? I'm Jack Culotta, and this is the Talk Culotta Podcast presented by Boot Krewe Media. We're here with the general manager of the NOLA Gold rugby team, Ryan Fitzgerald. And what we want to do for y'all today is talk about everything and anything you could possibly imagine about this team. Where did it start? Where is it going? And even for those who might not know anything about the sport, what is rugby?
Yeah, my name is Ryan Fitzgerald. I'm the general manager here at NOLA Gold Rugby. Yeah, so I grew up in Wisconsin originally. Grew up there my whole life. Played sports all through high school. All of them, football in the fall, basketball, into rugby, into baseball. Actually, first 2 years high school started with track in the spring because I never heard of rugby. And then a buddy of mine was like, "Hey man, we have a rugby team at our high school." And I was like, never, vaguely about it, that it's tackle and the whole night, don't know all the rules, but. I was getting kind of bored with track, just running, and I was like just staying in shape with it. But rugby is definitely more of my thing. I went out to 2 practices my junior year of high school, and been hooked now. We're going on 22 years now of rugby. But right after the graduated 2002 from high school, and was on the 2003 USA U19 team. So went and played in the Paris, France in the 2003 World Cup on under-19s, and then from there went to the Marines for 4 years. Went to Iraq twice, was stationed in North Carolina, and came back to Wisconsin. Was doing 2 years there with Milwaukee Rugby Club, and moved down here for a job, and thought it was going to maybe be about 6 months to a year job, give it a shot here in New Orleans, and now we're going on year 12. And just met the best group of guys you could possibly meet here, as far as the best old boy network. Went right to New Orleans Rugby Club. They've been around since 1973. Joined the team in 2009, 2011 we won the national championship, 2012 we won the national championship, and then 13 and 14 making back-to-back Final Fours and the title game. So had a really good run there and a good stretch there, and kind of evolved from there. And then did some 3 years of scouting in the NFL with the Senior Bowl, the recent Senior Bowl, and the Miami Dolphins and the Dallas Cowboys. And then in January or February of 2017. Tim Falcon, our owner, said, who's been an old boy here, and I've known now for 12 years as well. Played 1 million games with all 3 of his boys, with Jared, Cameron, and Brennan. And he said that there's this group of guys that are putting together Major League Rugby in the United States, and I was like, well, that's awesome, congratulations. And he congratulated myself too that he was offering me the general manager position. So that was February 13th of 2017, and our first year of Major League Rugby going into 2018. So, and that's fast forward to 2022, and here we are going into year 5 of Major League Rugby.
How does that process go? I heard Morgan compare it to like the movie We Bought a Zoo, with the family when you buy a rugby team.
Yes.
How does that process go from Tim's perspective and from your perspective? I mean, literally, y'all took over a rugby team.
Right. Yeah, and what's unique too is that we were the first team in the league to kind of stem from having that background of having a team here locally. So some of the other teams in the league are just starting Major League Rugby from scratch. Maybe some clubs in the area, but not one directly affiliated. And with Tim Falcon being an old boy on New Orleans Rugby Club and having that whole old boy network, and myself being on the team as well, like we had that, and that's kind of, we wanted to make that very clear to our New Orleans Rugby Club, our brother on that side, is that we're not. This isn't 2 separate things. We're trying to feed and grow New Orleans rugby. Obviously, there's a pathway, and yes, it was a little bit of a zoo. It's it's like, where are we playing? Not sure. What's your team name? Don't know. What's the salary cap? Oh, I don't know if there is one. It just right. It's like, okay, here we go. Sounds good. So it was definitely getting creative and staying wearing multiple hats, and that was I think everybody here in the rugby community is good at that. Everybody kind of leans on one another, supports each other, and the aggressiveness to go after it was awesome. We just kept on chipping away and growing. You spread the word a little bit. Obviously, there was a lot of that'll never work. Maybe a little bit of everybody saying it at first because the United States has wanted to do this for a while, but it's never gotten off and going. And I think just kind of chipping away and just kind of building that foundation brick by brick. And the players that we started bringing in here, kind of notifying them like, hey, it's gonna not gonna have a ton of red carpet to roll out the first year or so, but if you sit there, you kind of chip away. And now there's guys on this team that have been on the team for 5 years, and they've seen where we come from to where we are, and it's been a total team effort. So it's been awesome. Best process and best thing I've ever been a part of.
What is your role as general manager? What is your role to not only improve the team, manage the team, but give people an idea of maybe how a general manager role for a rugby team is a little bit more unique than, let's say, a football team or a baseball team.
Well, the similarities, obviously, of the recruiting, the scouting. College. We have a college draft now 2 years in a row. Recruiting, scouting, watching film. That's my background on scouting from the NFL to here. But more importantly, also is like building the culture. That was the number one thing too. When you're trying, especially when you're getting a league off and running, not just a team but a whole league. You got to make them. They have to know and feel that you believe in them and that you care. That it's just not an assembly line. It's just not another number. Like, we would love for you to come down here, bring your girlfriend or bring your wife, and this is get rooted in the community. And that's why we have a locker room filled with some guys that have been here for 5 years, some 4 years in 2019. So I think that was a big thing, is the culture. But, so it's a mix of that, building the culture and building the right team, talking to your coaching staff, kind of figuring out how they want to play, and you recruit towards that. It's a big thing that my mentor, Phil Savage, when I got into the NFL from the Senior Bowl, was like, you can like all these players, but if it doesn't fit, the coaching staff, or doesn't fit them, it doesn't matter, who you pick, because it's got to kind of, so you're working really hand in hand as well. I'm doing everything I can, obviously, recruiting, scouting, you turn over every rock. That's kind of how I got my shot in the Senior Bowls, writing letters and taking a chance, and someone, turned over, they opened that letter. Same thing here. We've gotten from guys that have capped players that have played with the international level for their country, all the way to guys that are, were a tryout, started a tryout and are now in the, competing in the 23-man roster on game day. So that holds balance of that. It's very easy to find, hey, LeBron James, he's pretty good. It's like, yeah, everybody can see. Trying to find those guys that you can develop, and having the right coaches to have, and the staff and everything, and ownership to have the patience of developing those guys.
Could LeBron James play rugby?
Oh yeah, he could. He would find a spot for him, I'm sure. I mean, he could play in the NFL. He could play. There's some guys like that, and you know what I'm saying. It's like you could clearly see some standout guys where it's fairly obvious. It's also about finding the guy that has a backpack on his back and is willing to, in a moment's notice, drive or fly anywhere down there, crash on a sofa, and just grind, and just develop. And when he gets that opportunity, don't miss. And that's kind of what everything about this whole league is. He's like, he got. Tim Falcon and, the owner, all the others took a shot, gave you an opportunity. Let's make this thing grow, and that's kind of from the league level to the team level to the individual player, myself included, learning every day, so.
Yep.
Lean back.
I am leaning back.
Okay.
All right. I just feel a lot more comfortable like this.
For sure.
Than trying to be up here and
be a
douchebag sports reporter. Okay.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Get this all, keep this whole thing rolling.
Bloopers, baby.
Yeah.
All right. So, another follow-up question. LeBron James could play rugby. Do you, as a general manager, ever look to other sports? They say wrestling, guys who wrestle end up being incredible offensive linemen. Some of the best offensive linemen in the NFL wrestled in high school or in college. Do you, as a general manager, ever go to, let's say, football players or wrestlers?
Absolutely. No, we do. We love the whole, guys transferring from sports. Obviously, you got to find the right guy, because obviously sometimes, if a guy came from the NFL or something, obviously, where the NFL is and where we're at, obviously, money-wise in situations. But guys, looking for a college football player or a wrestler, we have a player on our team, Kenny Jenkins was a free safety up in, D3 school up in Minnesota. 2 years ago, didn't even play rugby at all, but just a explosive athlete, can jump out the gym, one of the fastest guys on the team. And if you could just get him in that environment, those athletes can excel quickly, especially if you can, not throwing him right to the wolves where he's just starting on game day. It's a good process. You got to learn the rules. You got to learn the system. You got to learn how to play. It's professional out there, and every year this league is getting harder and harder, and more and more world-class players coming over. But if you get them in that environment with the right coaching staff, the right facilities that we got, watching film, competing every day against those guys, they can jump the ladder and climb quickly. And that even comes from a college player that is playing college rugby. Maybe he's playing at a lower level of college rugby, and the difference between Major League Rugby and where he's playing might be a massive gap, of course. But at the same time, if you put a guy in that system and in that program, that quickly, like we had last year. Even Andrew Guerra is an example. Notre Dame College up in Ohio, not University of Notre Dame, but Notre Dame College in Ohio, and 10 games into the season, he's already playing for the USA national team. So it goes from a college player to on the United States national team in 10 games. So, and there's a couple players even this past year in Seattle. One guy has not even got drafted in this summer, hasn't even played a game in Major League Rugby, and over the offseason already got selected for USA. National team, Tavita Lepetti out in Seattle. So that shows how fast it can go, and how when you just give the resources and give the amount of coaching and put them in that program, it can go quick. Whether it be a college rugby player or an athlete, if he's willing. You have to grind. You have to, crawl through the muck a little bit for sure. Like John Madden said, it's like, what's the road to easy street? Is through the sewer. Great quote. Great quote. And that's how, and that, absolute legend. And that's the ones that you're trying to find. It's those guys that are willing to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and that actually leads me to my next question, which is, you can be successful in this sport as a professional, but how much work and how much work ethic goes into that, right? I think a lot of people see the fun stuff that rugby players do,
exactly.
The chance and the fact that they, aren't hiding the fact that they drink beer and
right.
things like that, and they think, oh, well, these guys are probably like working as something else on the side while they're doing
right.
this. Like, no,
right.
This is their full-time job, right?
Absolutely.
Just talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 100%. I know what you're saying. You see in Chris Farley and Tommy Boy or something like that to play. This is professional, 100%. And these guys that are coming over, especially from overseas and everything, that have already come from a professional. A lot of them, coming from Australia, England, New Zealand, where it's high level rugby, South Africa, and then every year we're just making huge strides to more and more of that. And yes, this is like their full-time job. I mean, they're in here day in and day out. Our coaching staff is, from the time that, the guys are getting extras in the gym, then our actual skills on the field, then a break, then, swapping over. Backs go to the gym, the forwards go to the field, etc. Break for a little bit of a snack, protein shake, treatment, right to the film room. Watching what we just did yesterday. We got a drone up in the air filming, then right to the actual team practice. So it's a full day, and it's not even just how to be a professional. Getting into a routine, how you take care of your body, your sleep habits, all that stuff has got to go, plays a factor and goes into it. What you're eating right, GPS. We have, guys have a GPS on the back where Coach Kane, our head coach Kane Thompson, is tracking how many, how much meters we putting on the body, how many meters we putting on the legs. So instead of if a guy's got a bad hamstring, instead of running him, he's on the watt bike. He's just sweating it out. The killer watt bike, as the guys call it. It's beating him up good. So there's all that stuff going into it. It's not just you sign on the dotted line and you're a pro. There's a level of a jump to go from a collegiate level or a men's club level to the professional level. When versus maybe at the men's club or college, you're training twice a week, 2 hours. You still had school during the day, or you had a 9-to-5 job during the day. And this is their job. And it's not a bad one. Not a bad job for a lot of these guys. I told them, I was like, man, you guys are so lucky, man. Your first job out of college is just a professional rugby player. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I missed the window.
You lucky bastard.
I'm 37. I missed the window. My first job, Marine Corps, and then when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was like, hey, grab that shovel.
Right.
Dig that ditch over there. And you guys are walking into the gold mine, the best facility in the United States, and every single day, just oh man, I got to go play rugby for a profession. So, but they earned it though. It wasn't given to them. There's a lot of players. There's 413 in the college draft. There's that's what's about this too. Like NFL, you were saying earlier about the general manager position.
Right.
You're drafting from the United States, right? For football, you're drafting from the United States. The NBA's predominantly drafting from the United States. Obviously, maybe there's a couple players, obviously overseas and everything like that as well, that always filter into the draft. But this is worldwide, and there's a college draft in the United States, but there's free agents everywhere and around the world. So to do that, find their tape, talk to their agent, get them a visa, get them over here. It's a process, and it's different from, sometimes you might sign a guy from overseas and the first time they actually shake hands and meet him is when he landed in country. And you've already invested a flight into him, a visa into him, and that. And that's unheard of in the NFL. Unheard of where you're tracking a guy for 2 years, talk to his S&C coach, talk to the head coach, the combine, the draft process, the interview process. I mean, everything about him, before you actually pull the trigger. And here you're rolling the dice a little bit sometimes. So you got to really kind of do your due diligence.
I have a bit idea.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, tell me just briefly, how your military background has helped you as just a manager, right?
Yeah. I think that one of the biggest things for, obviously people ask me sometimes, like, does your military, background, like, help towards us? Like, yes, it definitely helps 100%. There's nothing like the Marine Corps. But at the same time, you can't treat them like you're in the Marine Corps. I mean, you know, like I can't walk in and be like, you know, a Ted Hutt and start, you know, barking and exactly, and just start slamming. These guys will walk out and it's like, you got to treat them like, you know, but at the same time, the accountability, right? Obviously the accountability. And one of the biggest things the Marine Corps teaches you is that, you know, no matter who you are when you go into boot camp in the Marine Corps, whoever your dad was, whatever general he was, or the President of the United States, or all the way down, or my family, everybody's got to stand on those yellow footprints and run the gauntlet. Everybody's got to do it. And at the same time, it's about, Marine Corps is a lot of ways about wearing multiple hats, just getting the job done. No one's too big to pick up a broom, right? No one's too big to pick up a shovel. Everybody has to know how to use that weapon, this weapon. I think rugby has a lot of that. It kind of leaves a lot of times the egos at the door, right? In rugby, you know, so it's a lot more, it's a total team game. And I know football and other sports talk about a team game, but there's nowhere to hide out there. This is 15 on 15. Everybody's got to tackle. Everybody's playing offense. Everybody's playing defense. If you sub out, you're out. It's a game of truth, you know. So, and I think the Marine Corps is that same way, you know. I say military, I can only know because I was in the Marines, but from the Marine Corps, you know, when you're out there in a 6-man platoon or you're on a patrol, everybody's got to know everybody's job. There's no excuses. Like you only got you 6 guys around each other to make this thing happen. So I think that comes into play a lot, is that, you know, don't worry about the title so much. Let's just get the job done. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we kind of try to implement here. It's all be grown men. We have team leaders, we have captains, but at the same time, like, you know, everybody's a grown man. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we kind of pull from rugby. I mean, the All Blacks is one of the best teams in the world, and they have a chapter in their book that says sweep the sheds. You know, they don't have team managers just sweeping the shed. They can take out their own trash. They can take out their, you know, they don't need, you know. So I think that's kind of the concept that we try to implement and put in here with a lot of guys, is that they're not in college anymore, not in the dorms. You got to be a grown up. You're a grown adult, and if you want to be a professional, this is what it takes.
Right. Contribute.
Yeah.
Okay. Segment idea. You ready for this, George?
Yeah.
You ready for this, Ryan?
I'm ready.
All right. I'm gonna put the timer on.
Love it.
When I hit go on this timer, I'm going to give you, that's the calculator. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. All right. I am an alien who just landed on Earth for the first time, and you are the first person I'm talking to.
Okay.
And I have to do a sports segment on the question, what is rugby? Rugby just started as a sport. You're the only one who knows about it. 2 minutes. You gotta help me out. You ready?
Got it. All right.
3.
Are you going to set up the question first, or am I just going to jump right into it?
No.
Okay. Okay.
You gotta be ready.
No, I'm ready. I'm just saying, I didn't know if you were going to say that to you know, like represent, or I got to go. Got it.
All right, you gotta go.
Okay.
All right, one more time. I'm an alien, just landed on Earth.
Yeah.
I have to do a full-on sports report on what is rugby. Rugby's a new sport on Earth, and you're the only one who knows about it. Are you ready?
Ready.
Go.
Okay, well, first, congratulations on landing here. You know, you made it, you know. As I said earlier, I would say this, that rugby is a game of truth. It is a game that is going to test like your willpower. If you're not tough enough to do it, wherever alien, wherever galaxy you came from, you know, then maybe you picked the wrong sport. But if you're willing to challenge yourself, if you're willing to find out like what you're made of and put your body to the brink and everything, and the total team camaraderie and brotherhood that's going to last well beyond your years, right, of just on the rugby field, but also beyond, this is the sport to do it. This is a sport that can, like, you know, I came down here, for example, where we're sitting 6 months ago, or possibly for a 6-month job, and we're going on 12 years. Right, and you got family and brotherhood for the rest of your life. Now on the field, right, it is a mixture. It is going to be physically demanding as far as you're going to have to tackle. You're going to have to catch and pass. You're going to run with the ball. It doesn't matter if you're a big fella. And maybe you've seen football. The big lineman has dreamed about running the ball. You can run the ball all you want.
I haven't seen football. I'm an alien.
Oh yeah, you haven't. Well, maybe they had it in where you're at, but it is going to be. It is a game and 15 on 15. Everybody plays offense, everybody plays defense. Okay, it's an 80-minute game. If you sub out of the game, you're out.
Okay.
So I hope you did some suicides and some running back wherever you're from. But it is going to be, it's hard hitting. It is, like I said, mentally it's going to challenge you. Physically it's going to challenge you. If you score, the whole object of the game is to score more points than the other team, right? Okay. Can't pass the ball forward, can only pass it backward. There is no blocking. So if you're running with the ball, you have to find your own way for space. Guys can support you behind you, but there's no blocking. So once you get tackled, continuous flow and continuous play. You score a try in the end zone, it's called a try. You dot the ball down in the end zone, it's 5 points. We kick it over afterwards for the extra point, it's 2. All right, it's an 80-minute game. If you sub out, you're out.
1 minute, 49 seconds. How does gravity work here?
It'll come down, unless you're LeBron James. Yeah.
That was awesome, dude. That was good. Incredible, actually. Solid.
I was like, should I go more like mental or should I just go more rule?
No, dude, you covered everything there. Oh, goodness. That's going to be a good bit. All right. Talk about the players. Who are your leaders this year? Who are the guys who've been on the squad for the longest time? You know, how would you, I mean, really, let's take the alien angle again. Break down your squad and who you expect to, to lead the team.
Yeah. So we got a 36-man squad this year right now. That's kind of pretty much right around where everybody's at. But MLR doesn't have an exact roster we have to have, especially, you can have some practice squad players or part-time players, but 36 men. We have a handful of guys that are still coming back for year 5 for their 5th year, which is Tessamani Tungawea, who this past year just got capped as the United States Eagle, just played against the All Blacks.
Wow.
So he came from us, again, another sign of draft and develop, right? He came to us in year 1 in 2018 as a wing/center, which is one of the backs, and he is now capped in 2021 as a flanker, which is in the forwards, back row. So just completely, just couldn't be happier for the guy, how hard he worked and how that's been his vision and his dream, and he tracked it down. Eric Howard is coming into year 5 as well. He's capped 30-some times with Canada, played in a World Cup, been a captain for us before, one of our team leaders. Billy Stewart is on year 5. William Wagensback is also in year 5. So Billy Stewart's been here since year 1, went to Tulane. William Wagensback is one of our local guys that started at Jesuit. Oh, there you go. And grinded all the way up. And this is this stuff that we're talking about. Wags got here in year 1, and just getting out of first he's at ULL. UL didn't have a huge program, playing a little bit of rugby, but he came here and scout team and banging with the guys and probably getting pushed around a little bit in the first year or 2, but all that scar tissue is built up to this guy is going to be right in the mix as a regular everyday starter in that 23-man rotation. So
are those your only 2 native New Orleanians?
Yeah, well, Billy's actually not technically. Billy's from up in Rhode Island, but right. He went to Tulane. Billy did, but he went up there. Wagensback right now is the only one. Cam Falcon will be in the mix with us from time. He's been on the team for years, but obviously now graduating, becoming a lawyer, he's going to be more of the part-time role. But as far as the local, born and raised, would be William Wagensback. Yeah.
What about your head coach?
Our head coach, Kane Thompson. Well, just a couple more of the players I was going to mention is that Cam Dolan and Robbie Coleman will probably this year be more likely announced as our.
Start that over. Cam Dolan.
Yeah. I'm sorry. All right. Also, some more of our players are, Cam Dolan and Robbie Coleman, 2 of our senior guys that'll probably be heading up as far as our captains this year. Cam Dolan has, I believe, 58 caps with the United States. It's starting at 8-man. And Robbie Coleman is coming into his 3rd year with us. He's had some injuries. We had COVID in 2020. We only had 5 games and it shut it down. Last year, unfortunately, he had a brutal ACL injury in week 2, and he is on the mend and back. And great player, playing fly half number 10 for us, which after 90-some Super Rugby caps with over in Australia. So a lot of real senior guys that are perfect blend of senior guys and also some guys that are on the rise and coming up that can really learn from them that we're really excited about. Matt Harmon got capped this year as well as the United States Eagle. Went from, Life University on our team, capped Eagle, so it shows what the development and MLR, the league can get the guys to rise to. So we're really excited. And there's some guys that have, last year's college draft picks of, Brian Nault is coming around, is going to be a guy that's in the 23-man all the time, or fighting for that 23-man spot. I could go through the whole roster. They're all. I mean, it's been. Pat O'Toole is back this year. He was our forward of the year last year, voted phenomenal player. Really excited about it. I'm really excited for the competition, especially also in the back line. We have a really, really deep back line. We added Harley Wheeler as a capped Eagle, but Ross Depperschmidt, what he's done in the offseason, what Jack Webster's done in the offseason, those guys they're chomping at the bit. And that's what makes it awesome, is that the competition at training every day, can sometimes, if you can make those competitions at training and those fights at training, maybe not literally all the time, but, literally and figuratively, but they're fighting for spots. Make those competitions in a day-to-day grind harder than what it is on Saturday. That's when you're starting to get to that peak, is that when you're competing against your own guys just to make the roster. It's a good problem to have.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it's 40 and you got to cut it down to 23?
No, we're at 36 you can have on the roster, but only 23 can dress on game day.
Got it.
Yeah, so you can have right now in MLR, you can have it, you can have 40,
nobody
45.
here right now, or will there be somebody here that is actually just cut?
I think right now where we're at, right, I mean, we're only on day 4 of training camp. I don't plan on, I think, every guy that we have right now in the locker room, we're really excited about.
It's going to stick around.
Yeah, stick around. Right.
But there's a different as far as like, break this down for me as far as, your contract or how much you can earn, how those things work compared to, football games. If you get a certain amount of yards or whatever, obviously the guys who make the 23 person who dress out are getting paid a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's not 100% necessarily. It's just like anything, right? So, like if the NFL, for example, a first-round draft pick or second-round draft pick, right, gets picked second round, and that sixth-rounder, that undrafted guy, beats him at training camp, he beats him. Right. Now, that second-rounder still might be on the roster, and all season long, that undrafted guy is getting the league minimum, while the second-rounder is getting second-round money. But I promise, probably at the end of the year, it's going to switch. Right. That undrafted guy that earned that spot, Marcus Colston back in the day, right? 6th, 7th rounder. Right. And then eventually, when he was picked, I'm sure the receivers in front of him were making more. But that changed probably fairly quickly when he became, an everyday starter, right?
7th rounder out of
Hofstra, yeah.
And,
so I'm sure when his first day of training camp, he was not the highest paid wide receiver, but by about year 1 or two more years in, he was.
I used to say he's the best. I'm sure somebody could make an argument for anybody else, but he's the best 7th rounder ever drafted. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because Tom Brady went in the last pick.
Last pick of the 6th round. Yes, exactly. Yes, it's very good clarification there. Yeah. But it's not necessarily that. I mean, I obviously, just like anything, your starters, guys that you're kind of penciling in would probably, you're probably shoot, roster wise or salary cap wise. But like I said, that changes. It never promised a guy, when you're signing that you're starting, or something like that. That's not my call. I'm the general manager. I'm recruiting, I'm evaluating, I'm scouting, getting you in here, getting you signed, balancing the salary cap, working with my coaching staff to, what guys are going to fit best. But once we go into training camp and selection time on Saturday for a game day, that's up to the coaches. I'm not in that process. Just like the coaches aren't in on the salary cap. We'll work together to put together the best roster. But we try to keep those, separate. Just like the Saints. If Mickey Loomis is doing the money and doing the salary cap, and Sean Payton's coaching, you can't, trying to keep those avenues. You're not going to your coach about playing time and money. Just go about playing time.
I'm glad you brought up the Saints, Ryan, because there's a gentleman right over there at the airline facility. We could probably hit a 7-iron into their facility right now. Yeah. And he's the quarterback for the Saints. His name's Taysom Hill.
Yes.
He'd
be outstanding here.
I want to know how many times you've heard that, and if Taysom Hill were to decide, let's say in September of this year, I guess after the football season, at the start of next football season, he just decides I don't think this is it for me.
Right.
Are you knocking his door down, trying to get him on NOLA Gold Rugby? Because he just looks like the epitome of a football player who could be turned into a rugby player.
He'd be turning down a lot of money, so she's just signed a nice extension, but yes, he is from, especially with BYU, they're a very big rugby community up there with BYU and the Utah Utes, and the whole Salt Lake City area of Utah is a very, very, Provo, Utah, very, very good Utah rugby background up there. He would fit in, he would transition out, anywhere. Just like he is now. He's just a tremendous. I think I heard from multiple people that he did, in high school. I know he obviously when he got to BYU, he was straight football. But I believe he, growing up, I think he's been around it or played it. I don't know to what extent. Yeah. But again, he'd be outstanding. He'd be outstanding at it. That's kind of what rugby does a little bit, right? Is that like I said, he's that ultimate guy where we kind of that Swiss Army knife here for for football, quarterback, he can run, he's fullback, he's on the special teams, this, that, and the other. Rugby kind of has that concept a little bit, you can run with the ball in your hand, this, that, and the other, but you're still going to have to find a way. You're still going to have to tackle. You're still going to have to ruck. You're still going to have to be a part of that, So it's not just all right, I I scored, now I'm off from the sidelines. Like, no, you got to defend now too. And I think Taysom Hill wouldn't have a problem defending. I'm sure, if they said, hey, you got to run in there at, safety or outside linebacker, he would. Plus, he's one of the fastest guys on the team. I mean, so he would be an outstanding rugby player.
You said you're from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Is there a Packers fan here?
Yeah.
Does that cause some debate here?
I will root for the Saints every day, all the time on Sunday. I'm 100% live for the Saints. Now, if it's the NFC Championship and the Saints and the Packers are playing, then yeah, I'd be Green Bay.
Do I need to remind you that the Saints beat the Packers 38-3?
They sure did. But I don't need to remind you they're also the 1 seed.
All right, touche.
Hey, call me what you want, but call me at home. They'll be at Lambeau, So.
Yeah, that's fact. Okay, so you think the Saints are going to make the playoffs?
I do. I think they'll make it. I think they'll get in. And it's been awesome. I thought, not just saying this also being a Saints fan, but I mean, I think you got to, put Sean Payton right up there for Coach of the Year with the roster that they put out. I mean, they had out there, and then all of a sudden the injuries and this, fight through COVID, all the guys, the Miami game, losing 5 straight, the bounce back to be in the hunt, and then also, Coach Dennis Allen, I never met him, but incredible attention to detail, and be awesome if they can stick and hold on to that guy, because I'm sure come Monday his name's gonna be floating around out there to get a head spot somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean they have a rugby player playing quarterback for him.
Exactly.
And a stout defense,
exactly.
So it's
yeah.
kind of exciting to watch.
It's awesome to watch. Yeah. It's old school. They're finding ways. We did that a lot last year too. Which I was getting back to our season last year, but we ended the season with 6 straight road games because of COVID. Yeah. We won 5 out of 6. We also had 11 starters out because 9 of them were gone to international duty, where they went and played for Uruguay, USA, Canada, and we had those guys, Chile as well. And we had those guys out and then still won 5 out of 6 on the road. Did 36,000 miles in 6 weeks. So we found a way, and we changed up the game. With this starter out, we might not be able to call this player run the pattern that we want to run here, play the way that we want to play because a certain player's out. But the next man up stepped in and kind of, our coaching staff last year did awesome, adjusting a little bit, and our guys did. The whole plan worked. The developing worked. A lot of people, when we lost those 9 starters, guys were like, "Oh, who are you bringing in out of free agency for this, that, and the other?" I was like, "I've already brought them in 2 years ago. These guys have been in our system, in a program, grinding, waiting for their opportunity, and they got it, and they didn't miss." And that's what we're kind of like. That's what we're trying to all develop right now. You don't need to bring in. I mean, you bring in the guys, develop them, commit to them. They commit to you. They're here. Put in the work and the time and the effort in the off season, and grind your way. You might sit a year, you might not, make that 23-man roster that first year, but almost kind of like same thing. Guys go to LSU and he's a redshirt freshman the first year, but then it sees where he goes in the years to come. So excited for it.
If you don't know rugby, you need to first learn about the New Zealand All Blacks.
Yes.
Tell us about your coach.
Yeah, so Kane Thompson is from New Zealand. He played 3 World Cups with Samoa because he had dual citizenship as well, with his grandmother being but he also played in Super Rugby. So 3 World Cups with Samoa, played in Super Rugby, which is arguably, maybe not even arguably anymore, but the best rugby league in the world, right there at the top. And 2012, he was on the Chiefs, and they won the Super Rugby Championship. And he was starting at 8-man. So he turns 40 on Sunday. And can still hang and bang and run with these guys all day.
Insane.
Yeah,
How did we get this guy?
Yeah, he's awesome. I was after our 2018 year, going into our 2019 year. Actually, Cam Falcon, one of our players, Tim's son, is also on our team. Also went over and did a trip over and did a little 3-month stint in the off season, and met Kane Thompson, playing on the same club team over there a little bit, Johnsonville Rugby, and then playing in Wellington. And met Kane, hit it off with Kane real well. When he came back, he just told me, it's like, hey, this guy is, he's got an unbelievable history. He just had 3 World Cups with Samoa. He's still playing at a high level. He's 36 at the time, but this guy is, an animal, just a freak. I mean, he's, 36, and this guy's still outrunning most people. He's just, and that's that New Zealand way, right? They don't have stretches where they're like, well, it's off season, I'm down for 3 months, I put on all this weight, I got out of shape, and now I have to build they just play year round over there. So there is no Kane was showing us a stint the other day where he had on YouTube where he scored or I was showing it to the guys, not Kane, because Kane doesn't, I was blowing him up. But he scored a try against Australia in a test match. Samoa versus Australia on a Saturday. Awesome try. And then he was joking around going, we had a club game on Tuesday the next day. So he's playing an 80-minute shift on Saturday test match against Australia, and then he played a club game on Tuesday or Wednesday. That's just kind of their That's their way, and they do it for 12 months. Wow. They don't have these 6-month off seasons or 3-4 month off season where a guy even has time to get out of shape. If you take that 3-4 months off of getting out of shape, you're gonna be behind the 8 ball. Like, you're not gonna make it. So I think that's one of the things that he's been. That's why at 40, turning 40 on Sunday, and he can still run stride for stride with a lot of these guys. Doing the fitness test and stuff, he can hang in there. There's a watt bike test in there that he's got. And he's got the record on it right now. So and at 40, so.
This guy's an animal.
Yeah, he's an animal. Yeah, and his motto all year that we've kind of taken. He's really taken the Mike Tomlin one from the Steelers. Is the standard is the standard. And great thing about Kane and our coach, our players feed off of it. Professional athletes, so hit them with the truth, good or bad or indifferent, and the clarity that he's bringing, right, is massive. Calls you in whether you're making the roster or not that week. It's very direct. It's very to the point. You know exactly what your role is throughout the week. You know exactly what your job is to accomplish that job or don't fall short of it. But these are the standards and these are the marks you need to hit to get to the level that we want to play at. And if you're not, at that standard, then the style that we want to play, you're not going to be able to be in it because you're not hanging with the whether it be in the gym or on the field or basic skills. Fitness level, all those things that if you're not at that standard, that's the standard is the standard. That's where we're at. And if you can't make it there, then I'm going to have to get somebody else kind of type. And I think that players really respect that because, yeah, it is. And it's direct and it's right to the point. It makes sense. And if you hold everybody to it, whether it doesn't matter if it's the 2 captains, if it's Cam Dolan or Robbie Coleman, or if it's 2 guys that were just drafted, this is where you need to be at. There's no excuses. This is where you need to be at. You've been given 100% clarity. Do you have any questions? No. Get to the mark. So
it seems like they're buying in, right?
100%. Yeah, they love it. Like I said, everybody's treated. You're treated with respect. You're given direct clarity what your mission and what your role is. The tone that we want to play. The standard that we want. And here's training. Here's your opportunity. And I always remember in my first sergeant in the Marines, second tour, and he always said, you sign that contract to join the Marine Corps, it's about 80-some pages. You sign your name like 30 times, He's like, all that might as well throw it out and might as well just say, all we are promising you is the opportunity. Sign here. And that's really it. It's like the Marine Corps doesn't, whatever your job is, if it's infantry or if it's a cook or if it's this, I don't know if you're going to be here for 4 years, 4 weeks, or 20 years, but we're just giving you the opportunity. Marine Corps is going to make it. Right. We're going to make it whether you fail or not. Right, but we're giving you the opportunity to come in here, and I think that's kind of how sports is in a lot of ways. Right, here's the team, here's the locker room, here's the field, here's our season. We want you 100%. I think we can contribute, but we're promising you the opportunity. Myself is not guaranteeing you sign the contract that you're automatically starting and you're doing. You still got to go out there and earn it.
I heard a guy who was a chaplain in the Navy, who was actually the president of Jesuit High School. Given a graduation speech, he said, "Don't drop your pack."
Right.
Right. Y'all are giving these guys the pack.
Right.
Just don't drop it.
Exactly. That's the same thing. That's last year's draft. They kind of asked me what would be kind of some things you'd give a. I'm like, give a draftee coming to the league. I'm like, be open-minded. On like what position you play. You played that one in college, but hey, try this one. Pay attention. Be ready to go. And when you get an opportunity, you can't miss. You don't know if you're going to get that many more. This is it. Like, this is your shot, man. You got to take it. Of course, I'm not talking about making a simple day-to-day mistake. I'm saying in general. In the John Madden one that we watched, that documentary, the other one, it was like, I didn't have a ton of rules on the team because the more rules that you give 22-year-olds, the more rules that they can break. Right. Right. And then you're held accountable. Like, well, you gave him the rule and he broke it, so now what are we going to do? Right. So, and it was awesome. It was just like,
correct it when it happened.
Exactly.
Don't put up a list of
all these things. And he had 3 of them pretty much. It was like, hey, on time, pay attention. Attention to be prepared. And when you're out there, whether it be a light day or an easy day, compete. Compete really hard. Compete. On time, paying attention, compete. It's kind of like the way Kane's pretty simple like that too. 3-4 rule. He doesn't have a million things. This just. Hey man, it's pretty. I couldn't give you more clarity. On this. So.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, it's been an awesome interview. I think we've covered pretty much everything when it comes to NOLA Gold Rugby, your position, the coach, the players, but maybe the most important for all of you watching is the fan base. Yes. How important is it to fill those seats, 1, and 2, How important is it to expand the fan base and the knowledge of New Orleans for the NOLA Gold?
It's everything to us. It's extremely important for the fan base, for us. I've been saying, our yearly orientation we have every year to the team before the season starts, kind of the rules and the do's and don'ts. I always say, like, it's massive that, getting back to our old boys that played on this team forever and that fan base and growing it, it takes an entire city to win a championship. It really does. Like any sport that wins a championship, they have the whole crowd in the stands and the city behind them. It ignites the city and the fans ignite the players. And last year we had a game here against Utah, and that it was a battle going back and forth. Even our players came in the locker room and said, the fans got us over the edge. It was like the last kind of 2-3 minute spurt, and they're all on their feet for 3 straight minutes, and it was just pounding. The Utah players said they couldn't hear a thing, and our guys are like, man, I was running out of juice, and that got me. That got me over the edge. So it's massive, and it's the opportunity, like I was saying earlier, from a kid that has never picked up the ball and played before to the opportunity where he could go from right here locally, high school, middle school, high school, onto the men's team, to the pros, overseas, the people that you meet around the world. Being from a small town from Wisconsin, and now guys from Australia, New Zealand, Samoa, the opportunities are endless. And
you're like an adopted son of all these different countries.
Yes, yeah.
But now you're an adopted son of New Orleans.
Exactly, 100%.
Do you think these players are kind of getting that sense and that feel, and how important is the fan base for them to kind of buy into not only the team but the city of New Orleans?
Exactly, 100%. And that's where the players feel it. Like I said, they feel it with our old boy network. They feel it when the fans are coming. They're coming to every season ticket holder party. They're interacting. Some guys, go fishing with some of the guys, whatever it is, they're, signing autographs for the kids, going to the youth sessions. They're there. They're active. We had guys going up to Baton Rouge to help out with youth rugby. Right here in New Orleans, all of our local high schools, middle schools, and beyond. Guys going bowling with the Special Olympics, and right here in Harahan, Special Olympics kids. It's been awesome. And I think that's what rugby is very, very unique. I mean, even after the game, having a social, and the fans are coming down to the field, signing autographs, and we're breaking bread and having dinner with the opposing team and having a beer or two, and the fans are in the mix. And I don't think there's another sport like that where you're at the Superdome and you can just walk down on the field and just go have a beer and have dinner with, the Saints, and
that shit don't happen.
No, and we're the only sport in the world that's doing that. And I think that it's what makes it unique, and the fans, we feel them. That's family, and the love that you feel, and that they're behind you through thick and thin. And I think the fans feel it as well, that it's personal. Rugby is a very, personal sport. Whether beyond the field or off, it is a very personal, family, brotherhood type have your back sport, from just on the field with the cleats on, or, the fan base having your back, before and after the games as well. So
what's that area called where they go to have the beer? What's that place called?
Right at our social, right there at the Party Shack.
Party Shack.
Yeah, the NOLA Gold Party Shack right here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that is what is really unique about it, and that's what people fall in love with, Even if they don't know every single rule, right? You don't have to know every single rule to come to a game and have fun. I've heard multiple people leave this facility going, wow, that was unbelievable fast. I can't believe those players can even walk afterwards anymore. I don't know all the rules, but, I just bought season tickets because that was a blast. It's just fast, 2 hours, nonstop action, and it's perfect fit for the grit of NOLA, the city of New Orleans.
All right, folks, this is Talk Culotta, where we talk a lot of sports, and we talked a lot of rugby, NOLA Gold rugby, with General Manager Ryan Fitzgerald. If there's one thing you need to remember, and if there's one shirt you need to buy, it is
NOLA Grit, NOLA Gold.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for watching, y'all. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Yeah, bro.